record. Sweet. All right. So what an ODM is, right? We'll connect to Mongo via a text editor. So we're going to use a text file to connect to it this time, instead of doing it in a very tedious way via the command line, which I'm sure everyone agrees, pretty freaking tedious to kind of go there and do this. And you're not going to be doing that on a regular basis. Maybe one-offs, just playing, adding something, checking. But for the most part, you're either going to be using Mongoose or one of those GUI tools that I kind of showed you. We'll then create a schema for a collection. And a schema is, does anyone remember what a schema was, kind of how I described it?
It's like a defined set of attributes that something should have.
Sure, exactly. Like, and I compared it to what? What did I compare the schema to in regards to restricting what a user could input? What do we use to capture user input?
Like a form.
Right, yeah. So it's like validation for the data to say that this thing needs to be a string, this thing needs to be text, this thing needs to be in this format, this thing is required, this field, this is not required. That's the schema. The schema creates the structure, and it gives this object or a document, right? Every document becomes this standardized thing. So we don't have what we had earlier where stuff was just being added and something didn't have a key associated with it. Like, how could you not have a key? All the objects should be standardized, right? I'm not going to have a database with like keys missing, maybe values not defined, but not to have a key is kind of weird, right? Everything should have this standardized collection. Think of like instantiating a new instance of a class. You do that because it provides standardization, and that's kind of what we're trying to achieve here with the schema. We'll create a model, and we'll see what a model is, and we'll find a specific model. So model is being that MVC, right? We learned about the MVC pattern, MVC, right? And M being the model and the view and the controller. And you've been working with, oh, what am I doing this? Keep file. Not what I wanted to do. I'll just put it there for now. I'll move it over. In the model view controller, you've been doing a lot of the view portion, right? You had the server and you rendered views. Server, rendered views. Soon, we'll go into the model, and next week you'll move into the controller, and then we'll bring it all together to show you how a full-blown server works. And then we'll update a model already in the database, and we'll remove a model, and then we'll combine several of these actions, okay? So what is an ODM? Once again, just kind of an intro to database. So it translates the documents in Mongo into an upgraded JavaScript object. Okay, so it kind of gives it a little elevation, gives it some things that have more powerful methods and properties. Okay, and when used in conjunction with Express, once again, it's extrapolating this thing and it's adding another layer to it. It's kind of no different than jQuery taking JavaScript and applying several methods and properties that make it easier to use JavaScript and build out a web page, right? You wouldn't want to go back, trust me, you wouldn't want to go back to using plain old JavaScript to manipulate a web page now that you understand jQuery, right? I'm sure most people would not want to do that. So then rather than use Mongo to create and update stuff, right? We don't want to do that. We're going to use an NPM package called Mongoose. Mongoose is going to allow us to create schemas and do validations and just kind of make it easier for us. It just extrapolates it. So now I mentioned that a schema is, or is going to allow us to set specific keys in our object, okay? So if we have a, say a key of name, we won't be able to insert other keys that don't match like first name or names, okay? So when we're taking a look at here, the schema, what does that new keyword represent? I see new schema. What does new represent in the world of JavaScript?
Instantiation.
What's that?
Instantiation. Creating a new instance.
Correct. Creating a new instance of the schema class, right? Cool. So what we're doing here in this instance is we would be instantiating a new instance of the schema class, And in it, we would be saying things like title. Okay, and title, it's a type, it's a string, it's required, it must be unique. Okay, so we're forcing these properties. The author is a string and it's required. The body is a string. Comments contain a body that's string and add the comment date, right? So it'll put a date there. Publish dates, right? Date.now, we're using just JavaScript there. Date.now would give you the current date as it is as of this moment. Hidden is Boolean, right? So it's going to take a true or a false. And then we can have some metadata, and then it'll add some timestamps. So this particular schema is allowing us to structure this document, right? Because we have a subdatabase, we have a collection, and then we have a document. That's the structure that we're doing. Okay, so this is ultimately what we're going to be doing, and you really do it once. You take a step back and you say, what structure do I need for my data? And then you kind of whiteboard out, you know, using sort of relationships of like, this is the main table and these are the subtables. My brain always kind of thinks of tables. That's kind of how I structure things, just thinking Excel and tabs and a more structured system like SQL, but be the same thing. This is a collection and other collections. And you would structure that out and draw the relationships. And once you have that, you implement it, and then you really don't need to like touch the schema again. Once the database is created, the thing is up and running. You know, for you to add new things to the schema and force it, you'd have to like rerun the schema. So this is something you really want to do first and foremost and not have to go back and kind of address it again. So let's set up our server. So you're going to go into the student examples, go into student examples. I'm in instructor examples. And in here, I'm gonna mkdir intro _2 mongoose. Mongoose. I'm gonna make this directory. I'm gonna change into mongoose. I'm gonna touch in app.js. Oop, so I see it in my app.js just popped right up over there inside of Mongoose. Beautiful. I'm going to run an npm init. Does anyone know what the -y does? I think we all know what npm init does.
Global info?
JSON thing, it will be all created. You won't have to press enter, enter, enter.
Correct. Yeah, that's what the y does. Without the y, I would have to do this. Oh, I got a package name, blah, 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 blah. I have to do all this. I have to say yes, boom, and then it creates it. So without that, here's my package JSON. If I delete the package JSON, if I delete it, just move it to the trash, and I now do it with -y, it creates it automatically. Like I don't have to do anything, right? We know we need a package JSON, right? Why would we need a package JSON? What's the main reason for needing the package JSON?
To define dependency.
Correct, right? Yeah, it gives us information about our application. So our application has a name, a version, the startup script that we want to use. That's also very important. Soon we'll be configuring scripts to run, and scripts allow us to run custom configurations for our server, right? So we can run the server in like debugging mode, or use a tool called concurrency, which starts up 2 servers at one time. Sometimes when we teach React, we have 2 separate servers, and we need to start them both up simultaneously to run on 2 different ports, but they communicate with each other, and so scripts allows us to do that. We're not doing that right now. I'm just kind of giving you the idea of this is really important. So we always need that. So cool, I'm gonna go back down here. I'm going to now npm install mongoose, okay? Mongoose, by installing that, we'll soon see it here, mongoose version 5.5.4. Awesome, it's there. I'm gonna touch tweet.js because we will be using that later as part of our, that's gonna be our kind of schema file we're gonna be using it for, and then open it up in Atom. So I'm gonna give you a moment to catch up to that. Let me, all right, so I'm just gonna do here basic setup. Setup.
How fast is your internet, Joe?
Oh, is it slow?
No, I just.
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know what speed you have?
No, I know it's fast. It's crazy fast.
Yeah, because yours took like 0.3 seconds. Mine took like 1.7 seconds.
Oh, that's how we run out here in New York. Crazy fast.
Damn
I don't really have to take a look. I don't know why that didn't work. They changed this. Yeah. And Jeremy, you're hardwired or you're wireless?
You don't see this fantastic cable job I got going on here?
Oh, that's I do. So that is. I have a hardwired connection. Sometimes when I'm jumping online, watching, I'll just because I'm so close to the router that I'll be wireless, and I have the performance hit isn't. I don't even see it there, but then I don't compare these things like, oh my God, I ran this much slower. But I'm hardwired now because I'm leading the lecture. I'm recording. I'm doing a lot of things. So sweet. 10, 15. I got 15. Still waiting for a few. Get the basic setups. Setup Horizon. $17, $18, $19, $20. We're at 20. Almost there. It's important that we're at least this stage we're all on the same page because we need to move forward together. 20, 22, 23. And I feel like we're almost there. All right. Anyone else just forget to click? All right. There we go. Don't want to go without everybody. Have anybody miss all the fun? All right. So I'm going to go into app.js. So in app.js, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, right? In app.js, we are going to deal with our dependencies, okay? One of the dependencies that we know, we're working with Mongoose, is I'm going to create a constant for Mongoose, okay? And that's going to require the Mongoose library, right? We know we have node modules here because we installed Mongoose. Look at all the software that Mongoose requires for it to run. Okay, so it has a lot of things that it needs to run. And so by installing one tool, several tools, several supporting tools, right? Having to run. And now we have Mongoose. In this, what we're going to be doing in the afternoon doesn't require an Express server. The idea is to kind of remove the Express server and just focus on what we need to do to connect to the database. And the next week, we will layer on the server as well, okay? So I'm going to create also a constant tweet with an uppercase T, and we will require tweets, here I have dots, tweet.js, right? We'll import that, we'll import it now, and we'll use it later, okay? So what we're doing now is we loaded Mongoose, and we have constant tweet. So if I was to just, console log, hey, just to make sure, like, hey, this is Mongoose, and then just show Mongoose. If we did this, if I saved it, and I went back here, and I just said, node, right, app.js, should start up and then output the Mongoose object. Okay? Hey, this is Mongoose, and so this is Mongoose. It's what we have. You see things like models and config, collections, right? So there's several things in here that we're going to be using, right? Some of these methods are going to be used by us as part of doing this. Cool. I'm just going to comment that back out. Don't want to really see that constantly. Now that we have that, now that we have our server, right? So again, I'm just going to make sure everyone. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to do. Okay, just make sure you put the dependencies in there. Get that in. That hamburger. Somebody's being really cruel.
I'm sorry, Joe.
I'm still going strong, man. Still going strong.
I'm a horrible person.
I love my water. I love my water, Adam. I think tonight I'm just going to eat a pizza pie.
See, someone goes and posts cookies, though. That's a whole nother ballgame.
They're cruel people. They don't like me.
I've been waiting to talk shit about New York pizza this entire class. So we do it right now.
Whoa.
Bro. That's smack talk. That's smack. Let's get Mongoose set up, and we'll all be in a good place, and then we can talk. I'm not going to talk food anymore because I'm really hungry.
Especially pizza.
Yeah.
Don't talk sass to Pizza Rat.
Oh,
that's right.
It's going to be a cruel day.
Just before I mute, though, New York beats Chicago any day of the week. I just have to throw that in there.
You guys will create a separate channel for that. All right. Looks good. Everyone good. Numbers are going up. Cool. So now that we have our dependencies, we now need to deal with some of our global configuration. Okay. And that is this. We know that Mongoose is running, right? Or we know that Mongo is running under the hood, and we know that it's listening to a specific port. We need to configure our server, Mongo URI, to connect to MongoDB at that port, localhost 27017 /+ I'm just going to move this over a little bit. Plus tweets. Okay. So what we're doing here is we're connecting to the server, and then what's ever returned back from tweets, oh no, we're adding here just a tweets. If it doesn't exist, it'll create it. Okay. That's going to be our database. So we're making a connection to the database, and if tweets doesn't exist, we'll be creating a tweets database. Okay. Similar to, I don't know if I still have the tool up. Yeah. Ultimately, we're going to be doing something like this. Here's our tweets. Okay. It's our tweets database. When we create it, it'll create the tweets database for us once we spin this up. Okay. Now I need to const db because we want a shorthand to kind of connect to everything or manipulate the database. This is mongoose.connection. Okay.
Someone's trying to get your attention.
What's that?
Someone was trying to get your attention.
Who?
Joe, that was me. I'm sorry.
Okay. What's up?
The Mongo URI line 7.
Yep.
Is that something like we just need to know to put that in there? Or
yeah.
you're going to
do this.
Be comfortable breaking that down.
Yeah. So
yes,
there are some things that you just kind of do. You're going to do this kind of once. And then if somebody asked me create the Mongo thing or go to Postgres and do it for Postgres, I'd have to look at the stuff. Like I don't remember the port numbers. I don't remember all the commands. These are the kind of things that, at least for like setting up the database, you'll always know how to require something because you'll always be using require and extending. You'll always be importing something. Those are things that you'll see later on. Even when you get to React, you're going to be doing that a lot, requiring extra functionality, importing files from one file to another. Things like this, though, are kind of like almost copying and pasting. So when you get a server up and running and you're going to start up another project, you're going to have some sort of templates, and you're going to go in and just like make this change right here and be like, all right, I'm going to change the database name because that's it. You rarely will ever have to go in and write this thing out from scratch. But once again, if we're just talking about it, this was the command that we used to start up Mongo, right? So if let me see, I have the terminal open up here. Let's see where I was. So if I did MongoDB, that started up, was MongoDB, right? Is it not working? Could have sworn that was the command this morning.
MongoD.
MongoD.
Oh, MongoD. That's right. MongoD. See? I forgot. So that's MongoD. And we're connecting to the server from the terminal. I'm just going to stop this, right? Now, when we connect via a protocol, right? because now think of like MongoDB as being like HTTP. It's a protocol. It's a protocol that allows us to interface with the server via a URL. That's really what we're doing. And when we interface with something via a URL, what does that mean? Like the naming convention, if I was to pull data from a server across the world, what are we using to do that? What is that kind of the terminology we would call that? Used it for your projects. It was a requirement. Begins with an A.
API.
Yeah, API, right? Application Programming Interface. And for that, it was the HTTP protocol that we used to hit the server and to request the data. Like it was listening in on that port, right? Our server right now is going to be listening in on this port. And it's going to be listening for a connection for that. That's the protocol that it's going to be listening for. That protocol, when it hears that protocol on this port, it knows what to do. Okay, that's what this is. And then we're going to be connecting to that database. That's ultimately what's happening here. After you write this 1 or 2 times, once again, you're not going to have to write this several more times. It's kind of like a one-time thing, and then you would just kind of copy and paste. Okay? I'm just going to connect to Mongo, and then we'll give everyone a chance to Mongo, right? Boop. And then mongoose.connect. We want to tell it to connect to Mongo URI. Okay? So I'm going to do this. Let me just post that out. Okay? Have you connect. I'm going to save it. It's good. I'm ready to type that in, and then we'll start up the server and deal with any errors if they occur. All right? I'll produce some errors so you can see what the errors would look like, how maybe we would troubleshoot this. We're bound to get errors, especially when you're doing all this typing. There's got to be at least 1 or 2 errors that happen. All right? Well, 10, 17 looks pretty good. So I'm gonna start the server. I'm gonna go here and go, hey, node app.js, and let's see what happens. And what happened here. So it's saying, hey, deprecating current URL string, parse is deprecated, removing the future. To be unhandled promise rejection. I think, let me see, it's MongoD. Let me just make sure it's started. I just want to make sure that that error message isn't the result. Yes. So in order for us to access our server, the Mongo database server, we need to run MongoD in order to connect to it. If the server isn't listening, right? So this configuration here says, I want to connect on that port, but if the server itself is not listening, then we're not going to be able to connect. And that's ultimately what happened the first time. I wasn't able to connect. So if I do turn this off, so I just want to show you, this is the error message. And we're not concerned with this deprecation warning. That's fine right now. But if I did turn it off, right, turning off the server, I'll go back here, I'll terminate the server, I'll do it again, I get this error, right, unhandled. We know that the deprecation thing was something we should expect, but now I get connect error confused at this port, right? So it's telling us that it refused to connect to that port, okay? That IP address, which this IP address is localhost. If I went up here and I changed localhost to be 127.0.0.1, it would work just the same. Our machine knows how to translate these two. So we know that we need MongoD here. The database has to be started. So we'll have some sort of thing on the server where we'll tell it to start, right? At some other point in time, we'll configure the server to be like, hey, we got to start the server when our server starts, okay? So now that that's done, if I go back here, I'll just get rid of the errors, and I will do node app.js, boom, right? It's all good. Everyone's good. Server started fine. All right. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know your server's up and running. Otherwise, we have to troubleshoot at this point in time. Just clicking away. It's looking good.
All right, I missed something because I'm getting a super long error, which is probably the one you were literally just talking about.
Okay. So in another tab I opened up, I'm going to close the MongoD tool. This is where I'm going to do MongoD, right? I'm going to clear my console. MongoD is not started, which is our database, right?
Oh, so you have to start it first, then.
Correct. Yes. Okay. So I'm just going to put a note like make sure MongoD has been run from another terminal window. Okay? Not, you're going to have errors. So I'm going to...
Getting deprecation warning unhandled.
Yep, that's fine. Yep, MongoD. Once again, if I start it, I'm going to get that same error. That's fine. The error is fine. It's not a big deal. Okay? It's going to work. We're going to figure out how to get rid of those errors as well, too. Okay? Warnings are cool. Warnings are okay. Like, an error is going to prevent us from working, right? A warning is just like, hey, this is just saying deprecating current URL string parser is deprecated and will be removed in a future version. To use the new parser option, new URL parser true to mongo.client. I'd have to look that up right now, and I'm not going to go look it up. But until they tell us it's not supported anymore, we can't use it. This is fine. Okay? 13, 14, 15. Anyone else have issues? Because I only see 15.
I have all sorts of errors.
Yeah. All sorts of errors?
I'm sorry. We're trying to node the app.js, right?
Correct. Yep. Right here. This is new.
Give me all sorts of errors.
Okay. So let's take a look. I'm going to show you. I'm going to do this just to see if this is the error. So I'm going to maybe change something here instead of, maybe I'll get, no, we don't want to get rid of that. But if I got rid of this / at the end of that, let's just see. I know what some of the errors are going to be. I've seen people produce errors. This could be one of those errors, right? So I get this really, really long error. So if you're like, I just got this really crazy long error, this could be one of those reasons. Right? You're going to get the deprecation thing, but then we're also going to start to see other types of errors. / in host is not identifier. Right? In host identifier. And that tells me we're missing a / here. Okay? So that's one possible. So John, just make sure that you have the /.
That's one of them.
Okay, so that was one error that you had, right? Okay. Let's see. It could be here, like trying to connect to these if you forgot the B or something, right? So I'm going to clear those error messages out. If I get rid of the B there and I'm like, oh, we just been doing MongoD all this time, and I run it, I'm going to get another long error, right? I'm just trying to understand where it is. You'll never really truly understand the errors if they start to go into like the lib folders of the thing. You're never going to get it. You have to look for a file like app.js here so that we can make sense of it. Until I see a file of app.js, it may take you a while to look for it. I don't know if it's even going to show us an app.js file as having the error. I'm just saying anytime you look at this, a lot of the times I'm just like, that's low-level error messages. I'm never going to understand that. If I can't get the idea here quickly, then I don't. But I do see something expected MongoDB. All right, so maybe MongoDB. That's what it's telling me there. I know what I removed, and now I see the error and what it's trying to tell me. I'm making some sort of connection between the two. So now I'm just going to say, all right, save it, make sure it runs, right? I'm going to clear out the messages, make sure it, oh, what did I do? Did I not save it? I don't think I saved it. That's clear, run the server, and it should run. Or did either one of those things help resolve it, John? You still got other issues?
No, it was good. It was the /.
Got it. Okay. See, at this point in time, I know where the fat fingering is going to come in. We could take a look, but I already know ahead of time what's going to be part of these issues. Later on, when we try to work with tweet, if somebody forgot the dot or somebody forgot that, that's going to break it. And those are going to be the general errors we're going to go back to. Or somebody references tweet with a lowercase t, we're going to see those constant errors. And so I anticipate the errors. I'm going to do them as well. So you're not alone. So now that we've connected, everyone good, right? No more errors, no more issues.
Hey, Joe, I don't have anything. Is that normal to not have a warning?
You should. Does your command prompt stay stuck there where you can't really do anything with it? Like
it says node app.js.
Yep, and you hit enter.
And then, no, I just...
You can't do anything, right? If I was to type ls, that's not going to work. Nothing's here is going to work.
I can type.
Oh, if you can type and it shows you your directory structure, then the node app.js server must not have started. You know what I'm saying?
That's the case. Mine doesn't work either.
Okay, so why don't we do this? Why don't we share? Why don't we share and see what's going on? Okay. Lauren, why don't you share your screen? I'll stop sharing. Take a look. Okay. I'm going to just move this over. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to put it on my big screen because I need to see. All right. So I see.
You have the plus sign. And, yep,
oh, yeah. So I see that too, yeah. So I'm going to take a look here, and you have require, is it this over here? New MongoDB, all right? This looks.
Our plus sign is in, oh wait, no, it's not.
Nope, plus sign's good. You're running new. Are you sure?
You
so
have
this
an
tells me
extra
you're
equal
not in
sign
Are
in
you
front of
gonna-
the Mongo URI.
Oh, wait, that?
Yeah. So try that and
Oh,
see if
yeah.
that fixes it.
Sweet. Still nothing. Can you do an L? Did you save the file too? I just want to make sure you save the file. We're in kind of the right folder. Save the file. At this point in time, the troubleshooting that I would do, because we're not seeing any errors, we're not seeing anything. Something like this always indicates that we're in a folder that may not have it. Put a console log inside of the app.js.
Is it because you have MongoD open, but you're not running Mongo?
We got errors before when I did that.
No.
Is it, I'm looking back at the instructions. I don't know if I did MPII Mongoose. What if I did that?
Well, you have a node modules package, so I have to assume that you did do it. Look inside your package JSON. Click on your package JSON, and you'd see if Mongoose was installed. Oh, so yeah, so you don't have it.
Okay.
Is it possible because it's spelled wrong? Would that matter? Because it's.
Well, I'm just stuck with my misspelling all the way across.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it, like
I
actually.
saw that, but it was too late.
Oh, but you know what, Lauren? You have no other information in your package JSON. So
Okay.
what I would do is like delete the package JSON and then do the npm init space -y. So just delete the package JSON that's there because there's really nothing in there.
This one.
Yeah, just delete it. Okay. Move to the trash. Did it go
And
away?
then-
Close that tab. Like close the tab that has it still open. Up in Atom. Like X out of it. There we go. Don't save. Cool. So why is the package JSON still there? Seems really weird that the package JSON is.
I
Oh,
can
try deleting it again.
back up and start over, and you can share and help Aaron with his.
Okay, Aaron, you want to share yours? All right.
That's the error I'm getting anyway.
Show me Like I can't really see all the tiny little code. So let's just take a look.
Missing that slash after localhost 27.
Yeah, same thing that John had originally. Missing the slash. Yep. Boom. There you go. Sweet. And Lauren, how goes with you? I think all you needed to do at that point in time is just do the npm inits, generate a new package JSON, and then do the install again. So let me know if that's going to work for you. Is it working for you, Lauren? I can't hear you. You don't have your mic.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Oh, sweet. Awesome. All right. So let me share. Sweet. All right. So cool. We're all connected. Everything is good. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to try to clear up some of those errors. So we don't want to see that deprecation error. So we can extend this connect to the Mongo and give it some additional parameters. You know how we've been using objects to give additional kind of configuration parameters when we're doing the find or we're doing the updates, right? So here we're going to say use new URL parser, true. A little fat arrow there. And then we're just going to put in here console.log the connection with MongoD is established. Okay? I'm going to save that. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to stop my server, start my server, and still getting it. Did I not save it? I did save it. Mongo. But that should get rid of our current URL string is deprecated.
Parser wrong, Joe.
What's that?
You put new URL parse instead
Oh,
of parser.
okay, that's right, parser. Sweet. See that? Stop, start, boom. That's what we want. We don't want to see those error messages. So let's do that. Post this in Slack. There we go. And once again, these are things that you're going to copy and paste later. There aren't going to be things like, oh, we got to do this. I think people ask me all the time, I'll build how many express servers, and it's like, I don't know, body parser, extended true, extended false. They'll ask me what it does. I looked it up a dozen times. When it comes time to like explaining what it does again, I am at a loss. Just one of those things. It does what it does. I know I need it. I'm going to send data within the body of a form, within that API call, you need body parser. That's just the thing. I haven't needed to configure it to any greater degree than that. And for this, I haven't really needed to configure Mongo to any greater degree than what we've done so far. Cool. Looks like we're getting there. Just once again, I want to make sure everyone's on the same page. I don't want anyone falling too far behind. If anything, I can help out when we go to breaks. But I prefer you coding along, things working. Sweet. Looks good. 17, 18, 19, 20. Just a few more. And we'll get started. Yeah, and the next two sections are, one is just optional, and the other one we're going to simulate stopping the server, closing the connection to the server. So we're going to include them as just kind of optional. We are going to include them. We're going to define the callback functions for various events. And just for the sake, once again, I don't really like copying and pasting, but for the sake, I just really don't want to have to type all of that out. I'll paste it. I'll walk you through it. And what we're trying to say here is this. So we know that DB is right here. That's our connection to Mongoose. That's a Mongoose connection. And so on is kind of like an on event listener, just like it was with jQuery. It's the same concept, on event listener. And we're saying if the event that happens is an error, then let's kind of deal with that error. Mongo is not running. Okay, cool. If connected is the event that happens, then hey, we can say Mongo's connected. We can return back the Mongo URI. Awesome. And then once we disconnect from it, we can get a message saying that it's disconnected. Okay, so I'm going to test this out. All right, we have it. I'm going to do this. I'm just going to give us some space here so you can see that. And when I run it, we'll be able to see. I'm going to stop the server. Start the server. I'm actually going to get rid of all my logs, run it, and there we go. The connection with Mongo is established, and it's giving us back the URL. Mongo connected. Okay. Mongo connected, Mongo URI. So we're getting the message back. Okay. Now, doesn't it look odd like that one console log happened after another console log, right? Does that look weird that this thing kicked off first and then this thing kicked off, right? And JavaScript is, asynchronous. It looks kind of synchronous that it's running one line after the other, and it is kind of kicking these lines off. But what happened is we're waiting for something to happen. So we're not going to stop everything and wait for that to complete fully. We're just going to keep running the lines of code. And so what that means is this line of code ran, and then once this finished, then we console logged this. That's the order of it. Okay, this took more time to run, and there was no kind of return promise or waiting for it. It'll console log when the process is complete, but there's nothing in here that tells us to wait for it, so we just keep going. Okay. Now I'm also going to add here, and this one just for testing as well, is we want to set it to close, automatically close, I'm just going to say auto close after 5 seconds. So we can see what happens, that we have the power to turn the server off as well. So I'm just going to do a set timeout. Okay. Oh, timeouts. db.close. And we are going to do 5 seconds. And by doing this, we're going to start the server, and then we're going to close the server, and then we will see these on messages, right? Those are on event listeners. Always listening, always listening. Once we disconnect, that event listener should kick off, and we should see that the database is closed. So I'm going to go and just test this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom, Mongo disconnected. Okay? Mongo disconnected because we had this set timeout. Remember, these are event listeners. These event listeners are running. Okay? Because they are running, I'm going to copy paste this because I want everyone to give this a shot also. Okay?
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Another stupid error. Now
Okay.
I'm getting invalid left-hand side in assignment. And it's pointing to my parentheses, but I don't know what else. Like, I don't understand why that would be a problem.
Okay, is it this stuff that we just did, or is it something up here?
Oh, it's right up there, and after the new user parser, for the function.
For this in here.
Yeah,
Got
but it's
it.
pointing at, yeah, I don't know.
All right, so share your screen and let's take a look. We already know that it's going to be, I'm going to probably see maybe a missing comma or something. So let me stop my share yours. Let's take a look.
It's always something silly.
It really is. A lot of the times what I do is just kind of copy and paste. You copy and paste. If it works, then I go back and I try to take a look. So Mongo URI. Anyone figure that out? True. Oh, you're missing, it's a fat arrow, so you're missing the equal sign.
Oh, stupid.
Yep. I don't mean, yep, stupid. Just one of those. Yeah.
You could say it, Joe. It's fine.
Don't say I'm still playing nice. All right.
I don't know what all the food jokes. I wouldn't be surprised if you get
No, there's not a mean bone in my body. Not right now, at least. Cool. Is everyone good? And it's,
I'm not sure I'm good, Joe.
Okay. All right, then.
Okay, so you were supposed to close, so Control C in the terminal, and then it's supposed to wait 5 seconds. And
oh no, you start the server. So my server's turned off.
Start it.
Yeah. So if I start my server, I'm going to get the normal messages like Mongo connected. The connection to Mongo is established. In 5 seconds, it disconnects. The server shuts down. It's over. The only thing keeping our server started and running is this Mongo connection. Just like Express did. Once we did app.listen, the minute we did app.listen, our terminal window was just stopped there. We couldn't do anything else. Same thing with this. If this connection is established and it's open, then the terminal window will cease to allow us to type any commands. We'd have to kind of do a Control C to stop it in order to gain access to it. Okay? So we're good, Dad? You good? All right, I'm gonna guess you're good.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I gave you the silent thumbs up. Yeah, I'm good.
I just tried to help you. You gave me the silent treatment.
Yeah, I also gave you a candy bar emoji on your
Oh, being even more cruel.
Have fun with that.
You guys are heartless.
For real, I didn't realize the trend that has started now.
I'm strong. Okay. What we're going to do is this. I'm going to comment out, set timeout. That was just a demo to convey that this database has event listeners. It is listening. If an event is triggered, it'll send this message. We don't need this. We actually need our server up and running and started, right? That's what we need, okay? I'm just going to make sure it's working. So I'm just going to, save my file, start it up, and get rid of everything. I just want to make sure everything is working. It's not going to shut us off in 5 seconds. Things are good. Oh, Mongo disconnected. Did I not save it? Okay. And start it up again. Should stay open, right? Commented that thing out. All right, cool. It's open. It's working. It's good. Here's just a summary of what was happening, right? And what I want to stress is don't memorize it. Okay, don't try to memorize this stuff. This is not stuff you're ever going to write by hand. I built, 100 Express servers. I teach it all the time. When it comes to those configs, I always kind of copy and paste a previous server. The last thing I'm going to do is burn 20 minutes, 30 minutes trying to type every require, every config, every route. That's just, as a developer, you're not going to do that. You're not proving anything to anyone that you can write a server from scratch, right? The idea is, can you leverage the technologies to implement what needs to get done? If that means structuring it with custom routes, then you do that. Custom database, sub databases, collections and documents, then you structure that. Controllers that run JavaScript code to evaluate things and decide what to grab, that's where your effort goes to. It does not go to trying to create everything from scratch. But at this point in time, you need to, because you need to understand what's going on. Otherwise, it's just I don't know. If something broke, I don't know how to fix it. At least now you can see errors and there is some sort of connection there, okay? So what I'm going to do now, if everyone's good, everyone's solid, why don't we take a break? No one told me, so I'm on the ball right now. We're about 50 minutes in, right? Why don't we take a 10-minute break? We'll come back, and then we'll start configuring, setting up the tweet schema and everything else, okay? If you do need help, I'm right here. I'm going to go for coffee because that's what's putting the edge on the food. That's what I have for lunch. So come back at, what did I say, 3:30, how about 3:33? There you go. Come back at 3:33. Sweet. Blink.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Cody just showed me something that's pretty freaking cool. If you go on Google and type in Thanos, which I know you don't know much about Marvel, but some developer must have had a blast creating this.
Okay.
So Google Thanos.
Well,
And then,
I'll do that later because I want to bang this out.
oh, are we back already? Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Got to stay on track. Somebody's got to.
I didn't realize we were back. That's why. My bad.
Okay. Yeah, it's 3:33. That's what time we're coming back. Right, 3:33. All right, cool. All right. So now that we have our server done, we're going to move on to setting up the schema. Okay. So I'm going to move into tweets.js. Okay. Now in here, what we're going to do is we're going to import the schema. Now there's a lot of dealing with, typing things out, trying to handle errors and such. What I want us to do is to, just for the sake of kind of speeding things up just a little bit, and I can walk through it. I'm going to copy this. I'm not a big copy paster to walk through stuff, but I am just going to do that because there's a lot of stuff to type here, and I don't want to have to go through every little thing and then produce, deal with all the errors that might happen. So I'm just going to paste it. Okay, here it is. You can copy and paste it, and then I'll walk you through what's happening. Okay. So I'm just going to give you a moment. Copy and paste it, then I will walk you through exactly what's happening. The config stuff, it just takes time and in order to circumvent some basic errors, which I can already foresee this producing errors, right? There's going to be a comma missing. There's going to be a missing curly brace, parens. Something's going to happen. I just feel that for the sake of getting us through, we can get to our lab. That's my goal. And I'll walk you through it. Some of it's just going to make sense. It's not going to be too strange. 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Sweet. All right. Looks like we're good. Now I'll just kind of explain it while you're still in the process of copying and pasting. We know what the first line does, right? We're importing Mongoose. So because this particular file requires Mongoose, we still have to import it. Every file that requires dependencies, you need to import those dependencies. It's no different than if we had multiple index HTML files, we'd have to import script tags into all of them to do the functionality in those unique files. This is the same thing. Okay, so we need to import it. And then we also are going to import or create this shorthand for the schema constructor. Okay, so I can create this shorthand that we can then use later to create this schema. Okay, so we have the schema constructor, and we saw that earlier. I showed you like, hey, new schema, but we didn't see where new schema was coming from, right? Where was that actually coming from? It's coming from here. Mongoose.schema is where it's coming from. And then we just create the schema. That's it. And the schema is, once again, title, body, author, and we're just giving it these parameters. Likes is going to be an object that has type and whether it's a default. Sponsored is going to have a type and defaults. This one's going to take in a Boolean. This one's already set to be a Boolean of false. Okay. If we wanted to kind of investigate Mongo itself, we could go up here. I could just open up that, and we could take a look at Mongo and defining your schema. And so it's really showing you the basic schema. Okay. We can go in here and take a look at it. And you will be going in here at times, taking a look at things. We're going to be doing models in just a moment. So you're going to see this happen. I just want to show you there is, if you want to go take a look, we could, right? We know that this is, or did not break anything, right? I'm going to test it in a moment. But down here, I'm going to say const tweet is equal to model dot tweet and then the schema. So models are just fancy constructors. That's all they are. Fancy constructors compiled from the schema definition. Okay, so an instance of a model is called a document, and we knew that a document is the things that we're adding. So models are responsible for creating and reading the documents from the underlying database. Okay, so the schema, the model produces something from the schema, and so here that's what we're doing. So just as we used mongoose.schema to create the schema to allow us access to create the schema, we're using the model to create a model tweets and leverage the schema, and then we're exporting that tweet so that we can use it outside of this file. And we already know that module.exports is being imported in app.js, right? It's being imported here, and so this is where we're going to actually be using the tweet model, okay? So we know, once again, tweet.js has created the model, it's tweet, and then we're exporting the model itself, and we're leveraging the model in app.js, okay? And I know that, once again, I would test things out, just make sure nothing broke. I start app.js, nothing's broken, right? If we were to type this out, I guarantee you there would be something that would be broken, something, you know, if this was a lowercase t right here, somebody mistakenly typed that as a lowercase t. Let me see, would that kick off an error? I'm just trying to produce maybe one error. Look, I get an error, and we'd have to troubleshoot this. So I'm going to go here just to kind of speed it along so we can get to. But once again, just creating the schema. We'll be doing a lot of that. Awesome. Cool. Everyone good? Any issues? It's a copy and paste. Probably shouldn't be any particular issues. Okay. I'm going to go back into app.js now. Okay, so we're in app.js. And I'm going to create my first tweet. And so here's my first tweet. Once again, for the sake of just kind of simplicity here, let me just paste it and we'll walk through it. It's an object, right? Const my first tweet is an object. It's got a title, it's got a body, and it's got an author. Okay? And we know that documents are what? What are documents? We have collections. Collections have documents, and documents are
objects.
Yeah, all right. That's what I was. All right. And so this is an object, right? Awesome. So now that we have this object, right? Okay, I'll paste that out. Okay, just put that in there so you have it. We have my first tweets, deep thoughts, friends. I have been navel gazing. Carolyn, not really sure what that means, but it's a deep thought. Okay. Click on the lollipops. You guys are cruel. Oh, man. No love. Apple. You have all the things, I would choose the apple.
Someone's being nice to you by posting the apple.
Yeah. No, the people that are nice to me are clicking on the thumbs up.
Well, that's true, too.
Cool. 9:10. Looks like the numbers are going up. Awesome. Cool. Looks good. So we're going to do the tweet also. So once again, just for the sake of working throughout all these errors, let me cut and paste it. I'll walk you through it, and then I'll paste it so that you can do it. So tweet.create. Okay, so we know that tweet is a model, right? And so this model is going to allow us to interface with the database, right? And so create is this method. We're saying, hey, I want to create something in the database, and the model is our connection to the database. And so first tweet is what we're passing in, this object. Okay, so it takes a callback. Hey, if there's an error, if something's broken up here, or my first tweet, if we misspelled it or something, that would be an error. Otherwise, we're going to pass the object in. Now that we pass the object in, we still want to, if it was an error, let's deal with the error. Right? Else, we're just going to console log the tweet, and then we're going to disconnect from the database. Okay, so to get control of our terminal back, we could use Control C, or we can just kind of disconnect from the database there. So let me select this out. There you go. Sure we all get it, and then we'll run it together. Save my file.
Joe, is there a reason why you're doing Node every time and not just using Nodemon?
Yeah, because, well, that's a good question. I think.
I'm just curious. I don't know if there's like something that changes with Mon.
Yeah, let me try. Let me try Nodemon. Nodemon, Node. Right? Nodemon, and then app.js, right? Should just know that, right? There we go. Let's try that. That didn't even occur to me. That's just kind of following the lecture as it was. We'll take a look. Good looking out there. Find, create. Right? Cool. So when we created something the last time, what was the method that we used? Does anybody remember what that Mongo used itself from the command line? Mongo command to create. Does anyone remember what it was?
Insert.
Yeah, insert, right? So under the hood here, that's the command that we're using. We're using the insert command to insert something into the database. And we did. And so here it is, right? Connect to Mongo. If you run the server, it runs, and we have our tweet. So I'm console logging the tweet. It's right here. Here's our tweet. Looks good. Okay. Tweets. Oh, sorry. Get rid of that. All right. It's good. 23. Awesome. So let's move on. We should see this, and that's exactly what we see. Okay. Now, we need to, and I want to point out here are some of the defaults, right? Some of the defaults were like, hey, add the time, and it's putting these timestamps here. I'm just going to go back to the schema just to see, right? So I see timestamps here, right? And timestamps looks like this: created at, updated at. I got author, I got body, I got the ID, we got sponsored false. That was the default Boolean here, sponsored. The default is false, right? It takes in the data type it takes in is a Boolean. The default value is this. Everything else was a string. The likes, right? The type is a number. The default value is 0, and we see 0. This thing created it just like we wanted it to be created, okay? Now that we have this created, I'm going to go back to app.js. I don't want to recreate this thing over and over and over again. So we created it once. It's in the database now, right? If it's in the database, it's always there in the database. We put it in there. So we're going to leave it there. This is the idea of persistence. We created a database, it should be in that database, right? I wonder if, I'm just going to try doing this, Mongo. And if we show DVS, right? So we got tweets. If I go into tweets right now, let me see. I think because I created the database earlier, I would see it, and would use tweets, right? And then we have to do, what is it? DB dot, I almost forgot what it was. DB dot find. Oh no, we have to connect to it. DB dot tweets dot find, right? If I do that, I should have all the tweets. Now these are all the tweets. I'm about to import these, but I have all the tweets here. I just want to show you that they are in here. Carolyn's in here. I think Carolyn's multiple times. See Carolyn's multiple times? Maybe she's multiple times because she's just adding multiple ones. But I have a lot of tweets in here right now. Okay, so I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to go back here to our server. What we're going to do is copy and paste all these additional tweets. So here, I'm going to go here. Okay, I'm going to paste it in here in Slack. Here we go. Got a bunch of tweets there. Okay. I'm going to paste that. I'm going to comment out, create the first tweet. I'm going to comment that out. We created the tweet. We don't want to keep creating the tweet over and over and over and over again. Okay. Tweet's been created. That's fine. Now, below it, I'm going to paste all of that. Now we have all these tweets that we want to insert, right? So when we created the first tweet here, right, it was just create, it creates one tweet. And we're going to need that later, right, as part of like the post. Somebody submits something, we're going to post this one thing. Now what we want to do is we want, just going to make sure everyone copied it, right? I'm going to do this. Okay. I'll post that. I'm going to add that. I'm going to save it. Okay. So just give me a thumbs up when you copied all those posts. Tweet, insert many. So far we have tweet, create, tweet, insert many. All right. I'm going to capsize that. Maybe I'll do here something like tweet, create, tweet, insert many. Okay. Some of the commands we'll work with. So insert many is going to do what it says. It is going to insert multiple tweets. And it'll cycle through this thing, this array of objects. So in here, there must be some sort of, for many tweets, since it is an array, right? This is an array, there must be some sort of looping construct that's happening under the hoods of insert many. Insert many must say, hey, give me an array, not an object, like create tweet wanted an object. Give me an array, and I will loop over them, and then, I'll execute create under the hood. That's what it's doing. And once again, it creates it if there's an error. Otherwise, it will console log it. So I'm going to save this. We go back here, and then it does it, right? So I have a node mon. It's clutch now, because then we don't have to keep restarting the server. Okay? And it added all of those tweets. Okay? And that's ultimately the idea of seeding. Seeding is when we give our database some starting data, right? I'm building something out, and I want to have some people, some contacts. Like I want to draw cards on the screen of contacts. Well, I want to have those contacts available as kind of just template contacts, right? Here, I want to build the next tweeter app. I want to have some sample tweets, right? And it's a lot easier just creating an array of objects like this, and then we can import them, right? Or imagine being able to make an API call that gets an array of objects that we can then automatically create at once using insert many, right? That's the idea. The idea is not to manually do this. Take it in bulk and do it. And use the create to create individual ones when someone posts something very specific to our site. Okay? Good. 16, 17, 18. I got 18. Guess we're still waiting just for a few. Once again, the whole copy and paste is helping speed things up a little bit. I like it. And this is a good use case for doing the copying and pasting. A lot of the times, manually doing it to help enforce the ideas, but there's going to be a lab, you can have homework, there's going to be a lot of time to work through this. Sweet. Looks good. Okay, so we need to find things within our database, right? Define documents within our database. And so we have specific methods to do that, right? So just think, we're going to find either maybe generic things, we're going to find by ID, which is really important because I mentioned when somebody wants to maybe edit something, we have to send an ID back to the server on a different route. That different route means it's going to run a query to the database to return the thing so that we can edit it. Send the information back to the form. Once it's in the form, then we can actually start to edit it. Once we save it, it posts it, it sends it back, right? So having that ID is important, right? Or, once again, finding one limits the search to the first document found. We saw that as the Mongo, when we did it with Mongo earlier, there was a way for us to run that command also, just to return the first one. I think it might have been first one. I forgot. I have to go take a look. So we're going to run a few of these, right? So let's do this. Here's our tweet.find. Okay, just going to paste that there. I will. What I'm also going to do is comment out the insert many because the things have been inserted. Okay, they're in there already. We don't need to keep inserting. This is a kind of run this once. Run this once. Otherwise, it's going to create duplicate entries. So here we go. Tweet.find, and it's going to console log the tweets. I'm going to save it. NodeMon's running. And so now NodeMon shows, let me just see here. Let me go here and just move this up so we can see it up here. Right? It's going to console log the tweets. It found all the tweets. Easy enough. I mean, we pasted the tweets earlier. That was easy enough for us to see all the tweets. Okay? Everyone good finding the tweets? Just give me a thumbs up. Found the tweets. Make sure everyone's still on the same page. Sweet.
Hey Joe, what is the ERR reference?
Oh, that's just this one right here?
Yeah.
That's just a shorthand for error. You know when we did a request response for the server, you know how we shortened it into rec and res? So that could have been, we could have called this error. Doesn't matter what it's called here. It's just a placeholder for a, those are the arguments, right? So there is a placeholder in this callback that says, pass me two things. If there's an error, pass that error into here. If there's not an error and we find stuff, pass it into here. Okay? Cool, looks good. 15, 16, 17, 15, 16, 17. This is good. We don't have too much more to do, maybe about like another 10, 15 minutes. So I'm gonna just push it and then we'll stop and then we can come back and we'll do lab time. Is that cool? Does that work for everybody? I just want to complete it. We're like in this thing, in this final stretch here. Okay, so we found one. All right, awesome. I'm gonna comment that out. Now I wanna find a few of them. So I'm gonna copy and paste this. Here we go. Okay. I'm gonna put it in here. So now we're trying to find a specific one. Now remember, when we're doing this, and I think, you know, Thad, when I was working with you earlier, this is one of the things that we kind of discovered was if you want to find something, if we give it an empty object, then we're telling it we want to look through everything that's in the database. We want to look for things that title and a body. Those are the two things we're looking for. And then if there's an error, throw the error here. If not, show us the things. All right, so I'm going to save this. And if we run it, what do we get back? Title and body, right? That's all we get back. Okay? We did this earlier with Mongo, right? Mongo was just a different construct. It was still fine. It was still this. But we had to put these things in like an object, right? This just makes it easier to work with. It extrapolates the Mongo functionality, makes it easier for developers to write. Okay, let's give that a shot. So we're getting more specific, right? This finds all, right? Returns everything, right? Everything and all its, I don't know, properties, maybe properties, right? This find here, you know, returns everything, right? Everything, but only their title and body. That's all we're seeing. I just want to see their title and body and their ID, right? It's showing their ID too. So their ID, title and body. I'm going to put here underscore ID because that's what it is, right? Underscore ID. Okay. Cool. Looks good. 4, 8, 10. A few more. Just kind of, once again, just getting a little bit more specific with finding. This is going to be important because, once again, once you're looking for specific things, you might want to find everything but only return certain portions of it. Or you return the whole thing to the, you just return everything to the controller, and then the controller can then make a decision if it wants to use JavaScript to like rebuild all these objects and just create objects that exclude those properties. You could do that, but that's just more work, right? Here, the database has the tool to allow us to do that. So instead of us grabbing every property and then transitioning these objects that have all these properties to objects that only have a select property, this makes it easier for us to do that. Okay? Sweet. So I'm going to comment that out. Let's take a look at finding specific things now. So now we're really trying to get a bit more specific. Okay? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to move this up a little bit so everyone can see it. So when I run it, we'll see the results. I'm going to paste that. And what we're doing here is we're finding where title is water. Okay? So this is a bit more specific. Boom. Okay? We didn't tell it what to return, right? We just said, I'm looking for something where title is water. And it found it. Here's the thing that's title's water. Give me body, give me author. It's returning back all of the objects that have water. Okay, we're not being very specific about what we want. We want everything. Show me that. Now I wonder if, if we just, based on our logic, what if I just said, hey, I want to see just the title. I wonder if we just did that. What would we get? Oh, unexpected string. Oh, because I missed the comma, right? Let's just take a look. And there, see how combining these things and just seeing the flow? Hey, if this filters to return specific properties of the thing, and this says return everything, well, when this thing's turned on and it's like return only the things that have water, I still have the ability to return the specific properties that I want, right? Let's go back to title. Okay, there we go. Cool. 6, 7, 8. So 8. Are we still waiting for people to catch up? I just want to make sure. Once again, I know I'm copying and pasting, hoping that this kind of moves us forward so we can get our hands into the lab and start working with this stuff. That's the goal. Okay. I'm going to paste the next section here. Boom. So let's go in here. I'm going to comment that out. Once again, I don't want to keep seeing all these run. So now we're using those kind of operators. So now I'm saying, just like here we did title water, now I want to do likes, but where they're greater than 20. Okay? Once again, we can still add, and maybe I just want to see their title and likes. Maybe that's, I want to filter out the properties that are returned. And unexpected string, because once again, I forgot the comma. Right? I almost knew when I typed it out, I was forgetting something in here. We could see, right, that they were all. And once again, if we just wanted to see the likes themselves, we could confirm that all these have a like of greater than 20. Okay? Sweet. Yeah, we're getting the basic structure here. We're almost done.
Didn't get the same result you did in my terminal for that one.
For this one, did you, in the terminal, I had changed it to be likes, here to show likes.
Oh, that's what I missed.
Yeah, once again, I'm kind of just extending what we did just a little bit. I want to like, hey, we just did this before. Why don't we incorporate it so that you know the full construct of what we're trying to do.
Gotcha.
Sweet. 12, 13, it's good. Oh, that whiskey gift looks pretty good too.
I'm reading her tweets and I kind of hate Carolyn.
Oh. She's such a sweetheart.
I don't even have a Whole Foods here, just saying.
What's that? Oh, you guys don't have a Whole Foods?
I had a girlfriend that made me shop at Whole Foods. I was never more poor in my life.
That sounds about right. Eating healthy.
Organic, yeah. Eating healthy costs money. I always looked at it as eat healthy now, and then it costs you less than like health insurance later on.
So wait, Joe, is that why you're not eating? Is that?
No, that's part of it. Part of it. It's part of like rehabilitating my intestinal. Cool. 14. Yeah, looks good. Looks like we're getting there. We have a few more, and we'll be done. Okay. Obviously, we did the create one, created many. We're doing find, and we're filtering the find. And now what we're going to do is find and remove, right? So let me paste this. We'll walk through it. Is the find and remove. I will paste it as well. And what we're doing is we're find and remove, find one and remove, right? So find deep thought, and then if it exists, if it errors, it trips, that's fine. Else, it's just going to console log that it deleted it, right? We have copies of our first tweet and a few options to delete it. We have 2 copies of the first tweet. That's what it's saying. So remove, this is going to remove it. We push the envelope to remove it. Find and remove, this seems like a great choice. And then find by ID and remove, finds by ID. Great for deleting routes, right? So when we start working with routes and sending the ID and we want to target that thing, this is what we'd be doing, right? Find by the ID and then remove it. We're doing it by the title, okay? So if we run this, if I save this and we run it, it's going to delete it, all right? This is deleted tweet. So it deleted that tweet. Deep thoughts, it's no longer there, okay? Gone. Again, the structure is the same. When we found, we passed in an object of what we wanted to find. We want to find one and remove. Here's the title. That's what we're looking to find and remove it. Once again, sometimes there's things that have multiple titles, people's first names, people's last names. Using the ID is the most, the best way to guarantee that you targeted the right thing. You're not hitting multiple things, okay? It's got 7, 8. Give it a minute. These numbers are going to go up. We'll jump to the find one and update, because now that we've able to find one, right? We have find one and remove. We're removing it. Now we can find one and update it as well, okay? So I'm just going to take a look here. So I'm going to just do this. I'm going to find title Vespa. I want to find the Vespa one. So I'm just going to comment this out, uncomment this, because I just want to see the Vespa one. All right? I want to update it. So I'm going to say not water. I'm going to say Vespa, and let's see what I get returned back. Oh, we have 3 Vespas. Oh, okay. So if I have 3 Vespas, let's see what find one and update would do. All right? And if I want to see, it looks like sponsored is true. So I'm going to change this to be sponsored sponsored, and let's see what happens there. All right, I get sponsored false, false, and this one doesn't even have a sponsored, right? An ID. So I have 3 items. 2 of them have the sponsored, and this one doesn't have the sponsored.
True.
What's that?
There are 3 sponsored: true, false, false.
Oh, see, I see it right here. I got it. I wasn't looking above the ID. Yeah. So I moved it above the ID. Sponsored, sponsored. Yeah, you're right. I was looking at the ID as being that first object, but or the first key, but they're sponsored. So true, false, false, right? Awesome. So let's do this. Here we're going to find one and update. Let me paste that here. Boom. Find one and update. Now that I found it, right, I'm going to, uncomment it out. I'm going to run this command here. I'm going to save it. Okay. So I have connection to Mongo established. I have this one set to true. Okay, well, let's find one and update. So let me see. I'm going to kind of comment this out just to confirm that the Vespa itself, like how many got updated. Boom. Just the first one, but the first one was already kind of true to start off, right? So that gets me thinking like, hey, is there going to be a find all and update? I think so. I'm not really sure. I'd have to take a look. So off the top of my head, I'm going to do this. Don't do this. I don't know if that's going to work. I'm just going to do it and see, nope. So find all and update doesn't work. Maybe find an update. Does that work? No. So we'd have to find the right method for this. Maybe it's just, yeah, it's not find one, find all. I'd have to take a look at the documentation to see exactly what that is, right? I'm just going to kind of go back to where do we have the Mongoose documentation here. Yeah, I thought the Mongoose documentation was when we created the schema. Here we go. And I'm just curious. Oh, here we go. Here's the schema. All right. Find. So if we do find update, right? So is there an update? We just update operation schema shared. There's like 46 of them, so I don't know if that's my model. Update many, maybe there, right here. Maybe update many is what we're trying to do. Okay. Find one and update. I'm just curious now if I do that. Once again, if I was to comment this out and try to just do, I'm not sure this is going to work. I'm just giving it a test here. Update many. Let's just, maybe this will work. If it doesn't work, didn't look like it worked, right? True, true, true. Oh, yeah, it did. Look, true, 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 right? These are, you're going to learn these methods later also. I can only teach you so many methods right now. I'm just kind of showing you that it is possible and that by easily taking a look at the documentation, we can figure these things out, okay? So I'm going to go back, and I think we're really getting towards the end. Now, just for, intermediate purposes here, we could count how many things exist that match a specific criteria, right? So here, I want to count how many tweets. We may need that on the page, like this is how many tweets. So if we do this, right? Oh, if I save it, I should see, hey, 9 tweets. Awesome. Okay. It's pretty cool. And then just the last one too. I'll give you a second. Just make sure you do that. We have one more. I'll walk you through that, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll do the lab. Sweet. We're doing here 14, 15 looks good. Okay. All right. Once again, I'm just going to comment it out so that we don't really return only what we want to see. And then I'll paste this in here. Okay. So make sure your count works. And then I'll walk you through this. So when Mongoose 5.0 came out, January 2017, 2018, they were able to limit the number of return queries, as well as what they're doing here is they're doing more of a jQuery-esque chaining, right? So, hey, we're doing find this, likes that are greater than 20, title, don't return the ID, right? Limit it to 2, sort by title, and then execute the tweets. That's what the EXEC is for. It's just to execute this query. That's really what it's saying, okay? So if I do this, I run it, I get, what do I get here? Limit to 2, greater than 20, right? So I'm only showing, I save it? No, I saved it, right? Greater than 20, what am I getting here? The likes are greater than 20. I don't see the like. I want to see, I'm going to say, can I do likes? Yeah, I'm going to do likes here because I want to see if we get the likes. Yeah, so I get likes, showing you these, right? So I'm getting organic. Oh yeah, that's why. I was like, why the hell am I seeing more stuff? Because I forgot to get rid of that. So what we're able to do here in a nutshell, right, is to find the ones, specific criteria, return the values that we want, the keys and their corresponding values. Don't return the ID, okay? Limit it to 2. So if I was like, hey, limit it to 4, awesome, I would get 4 of that, okay? Sort it by the title. So it's sorting it by title. And then we're just console logging and we're closing the database, okay? Seems to me that that's a much more robust way of kind of doing these queries, right? To be able to add additional parameters there, sort of, where you're kind of method chaining. That's called method chaining, where you're like changing and then passing the object down to the next method. That's also a design method. When you're constructing, when you're building out an application, you can actually build an object that does just this, that is constructed to pass the object that it's working on down to the next method, and it's really just using the return this keyword. I had an interview, I don't know, back in January, and they asked me to do that. They showed me something, some method chaining like that, and they were like, can you build this? And so just knowing about returning the keyword this and passing it on, I was able to construct something like a calculator. Add, subtract, and then return the total. Cool.
Hey, Joe, I have 2 questions.
Sure, yeah. What's up?
On line 160, what is the dash underscore ID?
It's saying not to return the ID. So I'm going to remove the dash, and let's see what happens. I get the ID.
Okay.
Because the ID is that kind of thing that's by default that's coming, and now we don't have the ID.
Okay, so is the dash like a minus sign there? Or?
Yeah, it's kind of like just don't show it. You know, when we had done it in, when we were doing it in Mongo, it was like ID.
Yeah, setting it to 0.
Yeah, setting it to 0. This is similar to that process.
Okay. Right? And then also, why are you getting the organic one multiple times?
Oh, because we have it multiple times. When I had done this, I had created this table. I should have deleted the table because I had kind of worked through the whole scenario, just made sure everything worked, and I didn't go ahead and delete the table.
Okay.
So I have multiple entries because it's like, oh, you want to add new things? I'll add new things. Like, it didn't care that we had duplicate entries in there when I was creating it the first time. That's where these things came from. They're duplicate entries because I kept adding new tweets over and over again, the same tweets, importing the same database over and over again. That's why I think if I went back here and
Wasn't it supposed to limit your return to 2?
No, I changed it to 4.
Oh, you changed it to 4. Okay,
Yeah, I just wanted to show you, like, I could change this thing to 4 and it would do it. I think when we
that one.
Yeah, so when we did this, create my first and this run, I'm going to try running this. I'm going to run just to show insert many, and let's see if inserting many reinserts that, and now I have a fourth one, right? Now I have 4 organic, right? I'm going to do it again, and we should see that I will have 4 organic. Oh, still 4 organic. So it should have. Did we have 4 organic the first time?
It's because your limit is only set to 4.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Correct. See, there we go. So I'll go back down here, and maybe I'll set this to, I don't know, 6. Maybe I have even more now that I didn't notice. Right? Yeah. So now I have 5. You see, the database doesn't know. It's just like you want to insert the same things that have the same values. That's cool. I'll let you do that. Like, I can't tell you that the name of someone isn't going to be the same as another name. So you'll have to make the distinction on what's unique, and the key is what's unique. Okay? Cool. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break? It's 4:20. Why don't we come back at 4:30, walk you through the lab, and then we'll get started. Cool? Sweet. So come back at 4:30. Blink. Okay. See you in a bit. Back in 2 minutes. Okay. No. Be created. Why does it keep doing that? All right, 4:30. Sweet, sweet, sweet. 3. Iris. Move 2. Just give me 1 second. 4. That looks good. 3, 3, 3. Right. All right. Cool. All right. Let me slack this out. The lab. All these things over here. The afternoon lab. The classroom. Afternoon lab. Mongoose vampires. Right. Mongoose vampires. Copy. Bloop. 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 All right. I just slacked out the lab. I'll just quickly go through it. We'll get you settled into your groups and coding away. So here it is. Mongoose vampires. That looks pretty badass, right? Almost looks like the eye was photoshopped or something. That's pretty bad. I used to have a ferret, and it looks so much more nicer than that. Had that kind of head, really adorable. This thing looks badass.
Mongooses are evil little creatures.
Yeah. It looks. Do they? You have them in Hawaii?
Yeah, it's a long story, but they released them here to try and get rid of rats, but they're on different schedules. One's nocturnal, so it didn't end up doing anything. But yeah, they're not friendly creatures.
Yeah, that does not look friendly. I would run away from that thing. Let's take a look. So you're going to work through the process of, starting up your server, installing Mongo, setting up the models. You're going to do everything that we were doing earlier. Build a schema. That's what we did, right? Schema and a model so we can leverage those methods that we were using, such as, count documents, update menu, all those methods, because we created a model, right? And that model was done here in our tweets file, right? So you're going to create the model. You're going to populate the data, paste some data. There is some data, I believe. Is it models? Do we have? Yeah. So we have some vampires here. Here's the console, and then there's the vampires. Here's the data, right? Export the data. So you're going to be requiring it to import it, right? So we got to import it. We're not just copying and pasting the data this time. You're going to import it. And then you're going to insert many, boom, bang out all the many. And then you're just going to start going through the querying. Select by comparison, select by exists or doesn't exist, selects with or. You're going to be doing more advanced selecting. So it's going to require you to kind of Google it, figure out some of that, replace, update, remove, right? There's also a hungry for more section if you want to do more, right? This query builder that I showed you at the very end, you can use that, work through the hungry for more section. Cool. I will open up all the rooms. Okay, we're probably going to go to about, I don't know, was it 4:30? 4:45. I'll post a poll to get a feel, and maybe 30, 40 minutes, get a feel of how everyone's doing, maybe an hour. But reach out. I'll be here if you need something. I might just step away to like get some water or something. Coffee. Cool. Opening the rooms. You're off. Cool.